Alright, so today we're gonna go check out a retro gaming convention here in Hong Kong. I'm with George from George Speeds to China fame on YouTube. Say hi, George.
I got a Pokemon model.
We're gonna go do some reconnaissance. We're gonna report back what we find at the retro gaming convention in China at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. So we'll see you back when we get there. So today I'm joined with none other than George Speed from George Speeds to China on YouTube. How we doing today, George?
Good. Excited to talk about this retro game con we went to.
Alright, so we didn't really know what to expect when coming to this convention. In my mind's eye, I envisioned a few old school games probably connected to a few flat screens, sparsely populated, small time convention without much real estate. I was still kind of feeling underwhelmed as we entered and saw an old oxidized yellow Sega Dreamcast hooked up to a CRT TV with Sega Bass Fishing or something along those lines with the fishing controller. One of my first, albeit misguided thoughts was, wow, they can't even afford nice TVs, along with any sort of HD output mods for their Dreamcasts. I kind of chuckled to myself. But George, you ran right over and picked up the fishing controller. What was your first impression upon walking into this convention? Tell us, what did you think about that fishing game?
It was cool. The fishing controller was cool. My dad has a Dreamcast, and I didn't know that there was a fishing controller.
So, did you think it was cool?
Yeah.
Alright, YouTubers, we have arrived at the Retro Gaming Cup, and already they got some awesome stuff. Look over here, we've got Dreamcast with the fishing controller, and an old CRT TV, which is just epic. Well, as we descended further into the con, the initial entryway had some more TVs hooked up with Famicom, Super Famicoms, Mario Kart, Mario World, some retro game clothes booths, a little raffle table, even a shop set up with some retro games for sale. They had an old Sony CRT TV that was hooked up over there with a top-loading NES with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, #1, I believe, sticking out of the top. At this point, I started to notice that all the TVs were CRT. It started to occur to me that this was actually their intent. This was on purpose, not as I had first suspected. They weren't using CRTs to be cheap. Quite the contrary. Old school consoles don't look good on contemporary TVs. They don't output correctly. They look like crap. So, I started to remember serious retro gamers prefer the old CRTs. I forgot. I've been living in China so long, we don't have these type of luxuries. So, this being Hong Kong, where real estate and storage space is astronomically expensive, all of a sudden my attitude towards this con was changing really quick. I realized, how much of a feat this must have been to obtain so many CRT TVs. It just boggles the mind, and it's a testament to me, to the founder Dixon's devotion to authentic retro gaming experiences. This was thrown by a guy I was introduced to named Dixon Wu. It was the second year in a row that they threw this convention, and in fact from what I understand, last year, this convention was the first venue that displayed the Sony Nintendo PlayStation. They were the first guys to have it, so I'm kind of sad that I missed out last year. Well, the way I found out about this place, I actually was invited to it by one of my friends in Shenzhen. He sent me the link on Facebook, and you know, I kind of debated on going, and I really can't believe that I debated. Like, after coming and seeing how amazing this convention was, and you know, all of the love and care that they have for retro gaming scene, it was the #1 best decision I made last year of things to go check out, and I almost didn't go, so I'm really glad I did. All right, so as we proceeded further into the convention, they were doing a competition, you know, speed runs, Street Fighter, King of Fighters. It was called the Retro Cup competition, and they streamed it live on Twitch. You can see more about that if you go to RETRO.HK's YouTube channel. They were having the competition with an audience. They had 2 projectors. It was really awesome. As we walked down the hallway, we saw some more people playing old school consoles on CRTs, projectors. They had MSXs, Sega Saturns, Dreamcast, you name it. As we walked to the end of the hallway, we came to a store kiosk for a store in Hong Kong called Otaku Games. The games for sale were in pristine condition. Like, the old games, they looked like they had just rolled off the factory assembly line. A gentleman named Andrew introduced us to the founder, Dixon. And as we were talking, Dixon made some good points, talking about how he likes to see, you know, a lot of these kids at the university coming through and seeing these old games. Some of them seeing them for the very first time, picking up the consoles, giving them a try. He said he gets a great satisfaction when these younger generation, you know, they come through and they realize even with these archaic graphics, a great game, it's a great game. And kids recognize this quick. They just need to be given a chance at appreciating these relics of our past that mean so much to us. Now, George, you discovered an older SNES game that was only released in Japan. I think you spent about an hour on it. Tell us a little bit about that game and what you thought about it.
It was Dragon Ball Z, and I love how you get to fight like all of your enemies and stuff. And I fought like 10 guys for that whole hour. And there's also this gun game that I played. There's also a new Nintendo game that we saw there.
All right, so to get to our final portion, the best part of this convention was their museum. They had some glass cases lined up as we turned the corner, and I will tell you, this for me was the pinnacle. This was the zenith. This was the climax of our adventure. The things that they had behind these cases, it was a marvel to see. You know, some of these things I'd only seen online or heard about, you know, and it was awesome. I mean, we had anywhere from, you know, Ataris, MSXs, even like the Apple game machine, the Pippin. They had Nintendo products, you know, the Nintendo 64 DD, the Virtual Boy, stuff that I didn't even know existed. From, you know, the beginning of video gaming history. It was really the highlight of our visit. I remember, you know, George likes watching The Wizard, and we found the Nintendo Power Glove. And when I told you about it, you came running, didn't you? What'd you think? George, they have a Power Glove. Just keep looking until you find it. Look at all this stuff, bro. Look. Oh, look. They got 5. Careful. What'd you think when you went over there and saw it?
It's kind of like an arm that you press buttons on, like a robot. And it's really awesome.
So, all in all, I give this convention a solid 10. It was outstanding. Everything, every preconceived notion I had was shattered. All my expectations were just thrown to the side, blown through the roof, completely blown away by this convention. I will go next year, and I want to, you know, I was added to some retro gaming groups that are run by these guys. So next week I'm planning on going to do a meetup, and I'll update you guys about how that goes. All right, guys, so for my next video, we're going to be doing a reaction. I might do a live, I might not, to the Nintendo Switch reveal, which I believe is going to be taking place tomorrow night. Well, it's probably going to be 2 nights from now, our time. So I'll see you guys then. And remember,
it's a Kodak mama! Good?
Geek!